Hello and welcome to the Spiral Dimension. I'm Doctor Von Hoot, and this is the Parliament of Mowls. Now, firstly, this is important. I've got a couple of friends backstage, but I'd like to open this show the same way every single week with a passage from a very important book. That's what making me shiver, Stephanie said, grabbing the nameless, faceless young man around the waist and burying her head against his back. She shivered with her eyes closed as they bumped onto the asphalt, picking up speed.
Don't you think that's kind of weird? Not weird, but like exciting weird?
Yes. Grease 2 has a book. And I officially open this session of Parliament.
You all right?
Here.
How's it going, guys? All right?
Good.
Oh my goodness! It's almost as unique as this super up close cam version of you.
Yeah.
The up the beak cam.
There you go.
It could be worse.
It could be way up the beak.
yeah. All right. So now this session of Parliament is open. I feel like we should go to the chat and say hello to everybody.
I second that motion.
Nice. You get the theme. Las Cruces, always here, always. And it's my boy, Tony. Who else we got? Trev. Good to see you. Always a pleasure. And Wellborn. Very cool. Yeah, and that looks like... Oh, it's Durs. Durs has popped in. Love that guy. So, how have you both been?
The question really is, does that constitute a quorum?
Yeah. If I knew what that was, then
a quorum.
Yes.
A quorum would be the minimum number in attendance in order to conduct an official session of Parliament or Congress.
I see.
Wow.
Sorry, I am familiar with Robert's Rules of Order, and
you do. Yeah, you know your stuff. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Parliamentary proceedings. Quite frequently I have to go to Parliament to try to pass a bill through committee.
I see.
Sometimes you just hope they don't filibuster.
Yeah.
Anyways,
right. Let's move on.
I'm doing well. How about you?
It's been a minute since I've done a live stream, which is sort of where this came about, because we're not doing the Saturday night live over on Triple G's anymore.
Right.
So I thought it's about time I did my own one. Let's see how it goes, And it's always a pleasure to see all you fine folk and everybody in the chat.
It's a pleasure to visit the Spiral Dimension.
It is indeed. You might say. Let's see. I've got a bunch of random clips, so you might say it's
excellent.
Wild stallions rule, baby.
Indeed. What watch you with your eyeballs this week? That is my main question right now.
Right, Mal. I like that.
Right, Mal.
You clever.
Yeah.
For me, that's been I've been keeping up with Star Wars Acolyte and wrestling. Trying to keep up with wrestling.
Oh, it's hard to watch all the wrestling.
It really is. I mean, it's bad enough that I can't like watching it with the commercials, so I'm letting it record and watching it later. So now I'm battling also late at night, falling asleep. Some of the matches put me to sleep even if I'm wide awake.
Yeah.
And then I had an issue like last night. I sat down to watch SmackDown, and the episode that recorded it was last week's episode.
What?
It said it was the description said July 5th, but it was the prior week. It was the whole episode with Heyman getting put through the table. I've already seen this episode. This is lame.
Yeah. So are you recording on a DVR?
Yeah, I have Hulu DVR.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. Right, yeah.
Cloud DVR.
Yeah, that's weird. Really weird.
It's bizarre, but I mean, it means if I really want to watch it, I can go back. I can go watch it on the on demand now, and it was there. I started watching the first half of it on the on demand, but then I fell asleep. So,
right, okay.
In my defense, it was 1 o'clock in the morning my time. And Fridays I start my day at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So it'd been 21 hours. I was at my recliner. Well,
so it's not that SmackDown was that boring that you fell asleep. It's just that it was like
as a 50-year-old man in a recliner with the TV on.
Yeah,
that is just it happens.
Oh yeah.
Would you? I only watch WWE around Mania, really, in the Royal Rumble. Sometimes SummerSlam, I'll check it out. I'll watch like either side of those. Is it still on an upswing?
Yeah, I think some of the stories are interesting. Some of the stories are not. There are some folks, obviously their style of wrestling is very different than AEW's. But they do better. I think they do a better job of making a reason for matches. I mean, there are still some random matches that occur, but most of the matches have some sort of reasoning for them to occur. There's storylines that go along, major and minors. Whereas AEW is just like, oh, we're going to put these guys together. Why? Because we think that would be a cool match. And sure, it can be, but why am I watching? I don't know. It's just, I don't need every match to be 25 minutes long either.
That's true.
It's like, maybe that's just because I've been conditioned by WWE for a certain style of wrestling. And there are probably lots of people who love the 25-minute. Every match is 25 minutes. Craziness.
I think there's some middle ground, which is often AEW does have that problem that they have matches for long periods of time that really don't need to be long. I think that's what the problem is. You could easily, not every match needs to be a 50-50, like back and forth.
Right.
Sometimes that's really appropriate, but just not every single one.
And then they got some people where they do try to tell stories where they just shouldn't be talking on a microphone. I'm sorry, Monet may be a great wrestler and talent, but her on a microphone is not great.
She's not great. No.
Brett, whatever, Britt Baker, Bretter, I don't know, whatever, dentist girl. She's not as good as people seem to think she is on a microphone. I
haven't actually watched that promo yet, so I don't know.
Oh, it was kind of clumsy. It's just clumsy. And then she reverts back, for supposedly being the icon of she reverts back to just going, traditional like indie stuff of saying like, oh, bitch, you gotta know. It's like, oh, God.
Okay. Right. Well, okay. So then before we lose everybody in the chat, the Acolyte, I know that you're much fairer, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm not a hater.
Yeah. So you give it like thumbs in the middle, would you say?
It's a very mediocre show.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I think the overall story, I'm hoping that when they tell the whole story, it's going to be another one of those things when you see the whole thing, you go, oh, okay. I understand what they were doing. Yeah. Right. You go, this is it's very mid of the run, very much like a lot of ASM right now. But I understand where people complain with some of the pacing and the editing that goes on. And obviously, look, people want to talk about dialogue. I just revert back to any Star Wars. Dialogue has never been a strong suit in most Star Wars content. So,
agreed.
So get that out of your mind for a moment. But it definitely suffers from some really odd episode pacing, and not necessarily meaning the episodes don't move from one end to the other, but it's just kind of the way they some episodes just kind of end on a soft note. There's no, whether it be a cliffhanger, whether it be an some sort of upswing in the action or something that makes you want to come back and have more. Instead, they kind of leave you on a down bit, which is
Right.
the way you want to entice people to come back in to watch the next episode.
Right. I started watching it. I think I saw the first 2 episodes, and it was like I didn't hate it, but it was so mid that I just haven't been bothered to go back. It's not,
And that's fair. I'm just
Yeah.
vested in the lore, so I'll suffer through a little bit more
yeah.
than other folks will, and I get that.
I've noticed with some of these Star Wars shows, it picks up quite a lot towards the end. So maybe I'll wait until it's all out and give it one go. all the way
Yeah,
through.
I've said many times. I think what they suffer from, these are one-off stories, so they're really either you need to edit it a little bit different on how you do your episodes. Again, partly, but I think they just need to treat it like these are movies. They should just be writing like a long, made for streaming movie, as opposed to trying to do this. I understand the reasoning for episodes and having people come back, but what ends up happening, and we saw this even with like on the Netflix Marvel stuff they were doing, was like there was like 50% of it could have probably been edited out into a solid movie, and the rest of it was just kind of some filler to stretch things along. And so those are fair things to say on these one-off stories, that I think that they are trying to stretch certain things, and as a result, the overall product suffers for it.
Right.
I agree.
Oh, hang on 1 second.
Maybe they need like the
Another one.
Oh boy, Higgins hitting us with his DJ Khaled impression. Nice.
Who?
All right.
ginger.
How's everybody
Evening,
doing?
Good.
Pretty good.
Good. Sorry, I'm late.
Your epic chat with Cliff.
I think I'm in love. I think I'm in
wonderful,
love.
isn't he?
Yeah, he is just an incredible guy. So yeah, absolutely loved chatting with Cliff. So yeah, good fun.
How have you
And I
been,
knew
Pete?
this was your first kind of Saturday Night Live, so I wanted to jump on and show some support if I could.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
The chair recognizes the ginger Gordy geek.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
thank
it.
you, sir. Yeah.
Have you seen The Acolyte, Pete?
Yeah.
Okay. That's exciting.
I mean, no spoilers. I thought last week's episode was really good in terms of the battles and things like that. I know Rob's a massive Star Wars fan, so he's more upset about some of the changes to lore than perhaps I was bothered with. My issue with it, if I'm honest with you, I think the acting and the story is just not particularly good, I'm afraid. I'm watching it. It's Star Wars content, so I will continue to watch it. I was interested in a lightsaber whip. Never seen that before, so that was fun. But it's not setting my world alight, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting though that despite everything on this is like apparently it's the most watched Star Wars show they've put out.
That's really puzzling, just because it seems like I've not seen one person be like, "Oh, this is the best thing I've ever seen."
No.
So and the vast majority has been, this is at best mediocre and at worst awful. So
I mean, I would say, I'm presuming you guys have seen it. I would say I'm a fairly simple guy when it comes to Star Wars. I like to see some fighting. I like lightsaber battles. And that was probably one of my favourite lightsaber battles we've had. I thought the scene in the forest was pretty good.
I joked about that on some of my appearances. It was like, oh, all of a sudden, like, everybody, these people have been bashing it. All of a sudden we have a lightsaber battle. And all of a sudden, oh, this is the best episode yet. I was like, oh, okay. So let's just be honest. You guys aren't here for any Star Wars stories.
Yeah.
You're just here to see glow sticks swing around. Just go to a rave.
Yeah. I mean, I can't deny that. I can't deny that. Yeah. People were getting very upset, weren't they, about the episode on the planet with the two young kids and the I have to say, as a person that's not massively invested in Star Wars lore, that didn't faze me a great deal, if I'm honest.
Some people are very dogmatic, much like the Jedi and the Sith. About what they are. I like the, just like anything else, there's different aspects of everything. So the fact that people call the Force different things, or people have different, there's different groups that use it in different ways, that doesn't surprise me. That's part of what this whole thing is setting up, is this concept of how the Jedi themselves are so afraid of the dark side that they're using their control of how people are allowed to use the Force and everything else. And so it's very much, any other, a government coming in and saying, we don't like the way you're, worshiping God, you have to do it our way. And then they start becoming a theocracy, right?
Yeah.
And so you have a lot, and that's one of the aspects they're showing. It is, they're not, and some people don't like the fact that, they're not all good. Well, if you're going to have two sides of a coin, there's going to be extremes on either side. And they were doing this. This is part of what was doing. This is part of what leads to their not being able to see the dark side rising, and what eventually leads to their downfall and balancing. They were too much in. If everything about Star Wars is about bringing balance to the Force, we're showing a period of time where there is no balance. It's all light side, all control, and they're controlling how people can do stuff. And so the Force is going to work to balance itself out. That's the theme of Star Wars, has always been.
Yeah.
Okay. I sort of feel like I need to watch it now, because like everybody is talking about that lightsaber battle, and it does sound fun.
Well, anytime you have one guy take on 10, I mean, it's
I mean, I'm also fairly simple. Like, I like a sword fight, and I'm not that bothered about the lore. It doesn't bother me.
So how excited are you for the new Highlander stuff?
Actually quite excited, but I actually am sort of, I only like half of the first Highlander movie is the gist of it. Like, all the stuff with Sean Connery is awesome.
The historical aspect of it, great. Move to modern day, it's shite. Got it.
It's not a great flick after that point, and often people talk about it like it's awesome, but it's a good idea executed not so well.
I get it. I was a bigger fan of the show than I ever was of the movies.
Yeah, I like the show quite a bit.
But and I've gone and watched the director's redo of the second movie, which, all the other stuff. But my wife's really excited for it. I'm always, with any remake type like this, no matter how much you like a property, I become cautious and nervous that you're coming up with something that we like, that a lot of people have a fondness for, and now you're going to try to remake it.
I feel like with Highlander though, they never really capitalized on the idea outside of the TV show. The TV show did it pretty well, but like in the movies, they were so hit and miss that there's room. We can do this again, and it could work.
You can get some sword fights.
Yeah. I'm all for that. Tony, have you seen The Acolyte?
Yeah, I'm about 2 episodes behind. I've mostly been watching The Boys and House of Dragon, and I watched Godzilla X Kong. So I mean, I even watched Tropic Thunder again.
I loved the latest episode of The Boys. I thought it was really, really fun. With all
Right now I'm in season 2. Right now I'm in season 2.
Oh right, so you're not in this series of The Boys, right? Okay. No. Oh wait, you've got lots of fun stuff to happen then.
Some good stuff coming. Good stuff.
Yeah. The bit of Herogasm that they do, which I think is in the 3rd season. Yeah. That's pretty fun.
I'm a big Jensen Ackles fan from Supernatural, so I'm waiting to see when he pops up.
Superb.
Yeah, he's great. What did I watch? I made a little list here because I'm trying to be efficient.
Very good.
I'm not, but I'm trying to be. So, Beverly Hills Cop.
Axel Foley.
Yeah,
that was
a lot of fun. It's I'd say about as good as the second film. So it never reaches the first film, but it nods enough, and it's tonal similarities are pretty spot on. It's not too much of a parody and that sort of thing, so it works. I was quite impressed that they managed to get it to feel like the olden times, as it were.
Nice.
But it doesn't. It doesn't have the greatest script. They could have done with a pair of scissors and some tweaks to the script, but I give it like 3 out of 5. So it's well worth a watch, especially if you're a fan of Beverly Hills Cop. Right?
I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
I will ask this: is the script at least better than Part 3?
Yes, it is. It is a better film than Part 3 by some margin, really.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are elements of Part 3 that I do love, but yeah, overall, it was just.
Well, I mean, like it has all the makings of a good film. It just isn't that good. Like it's got all the a theme park is always a perfect location for an action movie, if you ask me. That's just genius.
Just ask Kiss.
It's got some terrible editing, terrible script. It's decidedly mid. Cannonball Run, I watched for the first time in about 30 years. This week.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it good? No, but it's fun. I like.
Is that the one? It's that long since I've seen it. Which is the one with? Is it Captain Chaos? Is that one?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Which one's that? That one, is it? Oh.
That's that one.
Okay.
Yeah. It's fun. It's ridiculous. It's too long, but it has some cool stunts. I'll give it that. That's probably the best I can say about it.
I got a buddy at work. We quote that movie all the time. When I called you, I was doing 140 miles an hour.
Who else we got in the chat? Oh, yeah, no. So, Cannonball Run, I probably don't need to ever see it again. Now I've seen it again, if you see what I mean. Like,
oh shoot, I watched that thing religiously.
I was zoned out for a second. I'm sorry. Are we talking about the original Cannonball Run, or was there some?
We are talking about the original Cannonball Run.
Carry on. Great.
It's a lot of fun. It's not good, but it is a lot of fun. And Roger Moore is a delight. Like,
there are movies like that sometimes where you have to put them into the context of the era in which they were made.
Yeah.
They were good for their time or fun for their time. And sometimes today, some of the stuff just doesn't age as well. And you just kind of go, yeah, okay.
I mean, it's a little bit about the cast clearly having a whale of a time. Like they looks like they're just enjoying the hell out of every scene. So
sure,
it translates, even if it's very silly and not that funny either. I mean, like the jokes aren't good and stuff, but it's fun.
Well, DVH, next time you watch it, I've been known to do this with other movies, but most especially the Cannonball Run. I started watching it going, okay, he's gone, she's gone. How many of the cast members are still alive? I mean,
Tony, I do that when I watch my wedding video.
Oh,
it's like an M. Night Shyamalan film.
I know Jackie Chan's still alive. I mean,
that's true. That's true. So, what have you watched this week, Pete?
Well, I've watched Star Wars, as we've said. I've watched The Boys. I'm up to speed with The Boys. Really enjoying that. It's not as good as the last season, I don't think, but I am enjoying it. I've watched a great horror on Netflix. I think it was called My House or My Home, about some refugees who come to England.
Yeah, I saw that about a year ago.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think it was on Amazon before it was on Netflix. Weirdly,
quite creepy. Some quite good scenes. And then I did this. There was a secret cinema thing going on, Scream screening or something, where you're supposed to get to see a film that was just about to come out, but they didn't tell you what the film was, and the prediction was it was going to be Maxine, because that's due out this week.
Yeah, that's
this Friday, I think. So I went with my daughter, and it was horrific. It was a film called In a Violent Nature. Don't know if you've heard of that one.
Oh right, yeah. It's wasn't that shot like in the COVID times, and it's sort of in the middle of nowhere.
But it was utter crap. It's
Bad,
kind of a
right.
it's a kind of a Jason slasher attempt, but
Yeah.
probably 75% of the film is the guy walking around the woods with the camera looking at the back of his head, listening to his feet trudge. There's no soundtrack to it, so there's no music or anything like that, no atmospheric. It was just awful, absolutely awful. So that was disappointing. So I'm going to see Maxine
I
tomorrow.
I was cautiously looking forward to that as well. Bollocks.
Not good.
Oh well. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. Okay. Rightio. Well, let's move along.
You guys been having any of this heat over on your guys' side of the pond?
Torrential rain today where I am.
It was super hot last week, but today it's just been pissing it down. Basically, it's just it's
just
classic
out of curiosity,
English
because
weather.
I always hear jokes about the UK and what they think hot is. You can hit me in Celsius, that's fine. What are you talking about when you said it was hot?
I'm trying to remember what it was like.
Mid
Hang on a
20s?
second. Hang on, the wife will know. Give me 2 seconds.
I'll tell you right
Mildly
now.
warm.
See, I'm not even like in some of the hottest spots right now. I'll tell you today where I'm at, it's 33 Celsius right now. My parents, yesterday, they hit a new temperature record for them. They hit 50.5 degrees Celsius.
Wow. You see, I'm ginger, so I'm not allowed out in that kind of temperature. It's like
Oh,
a health
at
warning
that,
kind
at
of
that
thing.
temperature, the videos were like
madness.
people walking, like putting on a pair of Crocs and walking outside and watching them melt on the asphalt and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, that's not cool.
I've just been informed that it was 33 last
Oh,
week.
nice. So
Yeah,
you
it
get
was super hot. I felt like I was cooking. I can't handle any of that.
That's actually so for us right now. That's our dip. It's dipped down there. Now, granted, normally where I live, we don't normally get that hot, but it's we get it maybe a dozen times a year where it gets that hot. I'm in a generally cooler location, but for those of you Americans playing at home, 33 is 91.
I was actually looking it up.
Yeah, the 50.5 that my parents had at Palm Desert yesterday is 123 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh my God.
That's insane. I mean, how do people live in that?
They don't. They live in air conditioning.
I mean, I'm sure some don't live in that. Like,
That's the big difference, isn't it? I mean, when we get a hot day, we literally can't cope because very few of our normal buildings have aircon systems like you guys have, you know?
Yeah.
And you just boil. It's horrendous.
They actually, half the community down there are Canadians that come down for the winter. So they're all up in Canada right now where it's cool. My parents are the fools who moved down there and decided to live down there year round and not move back and forth between summer and winter because it was just cheaper. And I said, you guys don't know what, the town's name is Desert.
Yeah.
What do you think is
there's a clue. There's a clue for you. Yeah.
Exactly. Every time they post and say, look how hot it is. Oh my God, it's hot. Oh, you moved to a town with desert in the name.
Yeah.
It chose to live there year round.
Yeah,
don't act surprised.
Bad. That's pretty bad.
Is that kind of like I live in a hot place? Where you live, Death Valley?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Short, funny story. I actually went to Death Valley when I was a kid, and I was in the rental car with my parents and my brothers and sisters, and a hornet flew into it.
Oh,
I've never seen my dad move quicker than when that hornet flew into that thing, because it was. We just don't get them over here, but this was like this big. It was gigantic.
Yeah,
yeah, it was messed up.
I get lots of stuff like that out here, but
what read you this week?
Ooh.
Let's
see. I read Blood Hunt, Canto. I'm trying to remember.
Is Blood Hunt worth doing?
I'm enjoying that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I think the main series is fun. I've been enjoying the Union Jack little mini series, but the rest of the minis and the tie-ins I'm not particularly engaged with, I have to be honest.
I have liked the covers for the Union Jack, like Jack the Ripper or whatever they're calling it. That's fun. Like it speaks to me. So I probably will read that whenever it turns up on the app. See, that's the thing with Marvel. All the stuff on the app on Marvel is 5 months behind, which is just ridiculous. So if I really like something, I just buy it digitally on Amazon. Yeah. But generally speaking, with Marvel, that's very rare. I mean, it's
I was going to say, without going into spoilers, when they revealed the thing with Blade, I was really shocked because I always liked that character in the past.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about there.
I read the Batman, but I think what else I read this week? What were my pickups this week?
I'm a week behind. I've not read anything this week. I've read a few things. I read Rook. That was very, very good. Really enjoyed that.
Rook was awesome.
The Zatanna book, that was okay, but didn't blow us away.
I liked the look of that artwork. The more you showed it on Killer Comic Show the other day. Yeah.
And I read the first issue of the new DC crossover, but its name escapes us. What's that one?
Absolute Power.
Oh
yeah. Absolute Power. It was all right. I mean, I like Mark Waid's writing normally, but again, it didn't blow us away. But it was an interesting, I guess, start to the series. I will read on.
I think probably I'll wait until that's sort of finished up and then see what people say and read the main arc at the very least with that one, because I do tend to like DC's like series, but you have to be a bit choosy with the side books and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I tell you what I did read, and it's an older book, but I was catching up, is Creature of the Black Lagoon Lives #3. That was stellar. I'm loving that. Really, really loving it.
I need to get back on that. I read the first one, but never sort of got round to getting the second. So yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
that sounds like a plan. I've read I completed reading All Hail Megatron, which was a 4 trades worth from the IDW run. It's quite good, but at a certain point it should be one story about Megatron. It feels like it's called All Hail Megatron or around, but at a certain point they just lumbered a bunch of different one-shots into books. So you sort of finish it going, okay, so it's not really about Megatron at all at a certain point. And but they're worth reading. It's just
I would have thought it was something about his rise to power.
Yeah.
No, they do cover that in the IDW stuff, but that happens in a bunch of other books. You would think it would just be one solid story about Megatron. I don't know. Bother me.
DVH, what I'm gathering here is it started as All Hell Megatron, and by the end it was To Hell with Megatron.
Something like that. It's weird because it feels like the first 2 trades are actually a story, and then at some point in the third, it sort of goes, well, we need to put out 2 more trades. Let's just do these like spotlight issues that sort of revolve around different characters. I don't know. I can't explain it.
I found that joke lacking, and I think it should be. I move that it be stricken from the record.
Here. I agree.
Oh, he seconds his own motion again.
His own.
Call the question.
Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. I read that this week for the first time, and I know I'm way late on this, but it was a lot of fun. I'd sort of heard about the ending anyway, sort of. Yeah. So there was no spoiler, like there was no intrigue for me to have, but it was fun. I mean, Deadpool literally kills the Marvel Universe in it.
Have you read the original one-shot that started it? The Punisher kills the Marvel
Universe.
Yes,
I read that a couple of weeks ago.
That's superb. Lovely book.
That's really good. And the opening to that is really strong. Where Frank turns up and you could just, you know what's going to happen straight away when those first few pages. And it's not that long a book, is it? Like it's a one-shot. It's like very, very cool. I might have to buy that. Like I've read it digitally.
Yeah.
but it would be cool to have a copy of it. Maybe get it graded. Yeah. I need to read more Punisher, honestly, because I love the character, but I just never think of reading.
The recent run by Jason Aaron has been stellar, absolutely stellar. Loved it.
Yeah, I should get onto it. Should
go back and read the Punisher 2099 original run.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Am I being mocked here? I can't tell because
I actually really enjoyed that version of the Punisher. He, instead of killing, he decides he's in a time period where people aren't being sent to prison, so he creates his own prison and freaking captures bad guys and locks them up. And
I mean, that is sort of a good idea, except for the fact that killing is cooler than doing that. So,
well, it is a comic book. There's still something that goes on too. But
okay, that's good to know. I'll have a look.
Excuse me.
Rightio. Mal question time.
Uh-oh.
So, what is Mal question time? It's for the chat. They can ask us questions.
Ooh.
Now is their time. So, if you have any question whatsoever that you want to pose to Parliament, you can, because of Mal question time.
Ooh.
So, let's wait for a question in the chat until we get one. Let's talk among ourselves.
All right.
Fair enough.
So can I ask then? Because I know Rob has a slight affinity towards the 2099 books. Are you excited about this new bunch of books that are coming out? Are they doing it for you? No?
I've given up being excited for any new look into the 2099 universe, because every single time they do anything in there, it's not the original spirit of what 2099 was. It's just them playing around with some different characters to sell some books with alternate versions of characters. It's no longer about, commentary on the government and the corporations taking over government and everything that was going on in that time. I thought it's just losing. It doesn't have the same spirit. It's never any good.
I think you're absolutely right. I spotted the cover for one of the Nova books, which I thought, I'll pick the Nova run up, but it's got Nova with Wolverine's claws, and I thought that's just literally a cash grab. It slaps some claws on them to make them a bit more popular to sell a book. I thought, yeah.
I am disturbed by the number of owl faces I see on this screen.
I'm not going to lie, I'm finding it slightly arousing. I quite like it.
There you go.
Yeah, coming soon. Mal only fans, like all Mal all the time. So our first question: how do you feel about people who wear masks? I don't know.
Love them.
We're not talking about COVID, right?
Hey, there should probably be more of them.
What do you think of Superman's new suit? I assume he's talking about the leaked photos from the set.
Leaked photos?
The daily leaked photos.
Right.
Every single day. I mean, I was going to bring that up a little bit later, but it's getting silly.
It's an interesting marketing plan.
To be honest, I thought it was kind of cool to see Nathan Fillion look like Guy Gardner. I mean, it's Guy Gardner.
Cliff was not impressed by
really?
Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner from the chat he had with Pete earlier. He was not impressed.
Yeah.
I'm fine with Superman's suit, honestly. I think it will look a lot more. Well, that's sort of part of my problem with this whole weird leaking photos thing. Why don't they just put out proper photography of this stuff and make it look enticing and interesting? It's weird
because then you're being this way. This is a great guerrilla marketing plan, and people are talking about it makes it seem like these are secret photos being taken from ways away that you're not supposed to be in on it. And it's like, ooh, we're not supposed to have access to this, but now we have access to this. This is really cool. Let's get excited about it. And I wonder what they're going to do next. And here they come every single day at this stuff versus some polished set photos. But at the same time, you get people who, we'll talk about the costumes like this. Obviously, the costume, you can't judge it based off these photos because there's a lot of things that get done in post-production these days and everything else that are going to, some of the things that you see on the costume are just as likely to be just points for reference when they're doing stuff in digital post-production on cleaning stuff up and doing things. So
yeah, I mean, absolutely, Rob. And someone put a thing on, I think it was on Instagram or something like that the other day, and they were showing a lot of the Marvel early set images of, for example, Black Panther's costume, and it looked exactly the same. It had baggy sections on it and creases all over it and stuff, and it all gets changed, before it hits the big screen. I guess what I would say was I was surprised that Guy Gardner and Hawk Girl's costume, but I gather that leads into the whole Maxwell Lord Max Tech costumes or something like that, I think, from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're on the same team together, aren't they? Like, that's the idea of them having sort of shared outfits. It'll be a thing.
The only thing that concerns me is I shouldn't say the only thing. Lots of things concern me. But about this movie, the big thing that concerns me is the fact that there's so many characters that we're seeing so far. And either it becomes a movie that's reliant on you knowing stuff ahead of time, which has been a bad thing for Star Wars lately. Making your audience have to do their homework ahead of time is never good. Mm-hmm. Or there's just going to be so much exposition of having to explain who all these characters are that it's going to be, how do you get the story pacing going?
Agreed.
Yes. I take your point, but I would argue that James Gunn is pretty good at doing that. I mean, I don't want this Superman movie to be like Guardians of the Galaxy, as in like a comedy or action comedy, but he understands how to introduce characters, especially lesser known characters, and get them over with the audience, basically. Like, I didn't know any of those characters from Guardians, really.
No. But the difference is
there's 5 of them.
Yeah, that's a team film. I'm going in to see Superman.
Yeah. Yeah,
and this feels fair. Like Superman might be diluted by the time we actually get to see a lot of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, it's not like I'm afraid of it. I'm not saying it's going to be awful or anything else. It's just one of those things that's a concern that my experience in the past has typically been with superhero movies when we have too many new faces introduced at once inside of a movie. It becomes not really that great of a film because we have to explain who these people are. Now, maybe they're just going to choose to ignore it. We're not going to explain who they are. We're just going to reference who they are and expect that you know who they are. And that's great for me, for you, because even as a casual, not really a big DC guy, I know the gist. I may not know the whole backstory, but I know who Hawkgirl is. I know who Guy Gardner is, all this stuff. But if your audience, you're not going to get anybody who isn't somewhat knowledge of superheroes stuff that's going to want to give a shit if you're not going to provide some kind of exposition.
Yeah, you will need some explanation for who, like, because your average Joe does not know who Mr. Terrific is. Like, it isn't even close to being a household name. But the question I want to bring forth from the chat: what's your stand on aliens? I don't stand on aliens. That's my stand on aliens.
No, I prefer not to lay down face down for them either.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm assuming we're talking about space aliens, and
I guess,
and not necessarily people who enter the country with or without a visa.
This is an interesting question that I often think about. What's your desert island comic book? What would you bring to a desert island if you had one to pick?
I'd like it better if we put another S in there so we can make it What's Your Dessert Island book.
A desert island. So
Yeah.
you never get hungry. Just eat
Diabetes. Diabetes. Diabetic shock. What's your desert island book?
Yeah.
A book that
Easy for me. It's one of my favorite books of all time that I can read repeatedly, and every time I read it, I find something new to look at, which is Kingdom Come. I just absolutely adore that book, and I find the artwork so detailed. You could spend a long time just poring over every single page, and it's a lovely story as well.
I think for me, it would have to be The Dark Knight Returns, because I've read it more than any other book. I keep going back to it, so I sort of know that I like it. Would be but then there's a bit of me that thinks do a power bomb, because I'll also go back and read that a lot, but it's still relatively new. I mean, it's only a year and a bit.
I was going to go with either Crisis or Secret Wars.
Oh yeah, original Secret Wars.
Oh yeah.
Since we're going with comic books, originally I was thinking novels and stuff, but I have to go maybe with my saga omnibus.
Okay.
I've never read Saga.
No,
I
I've got
really
it to read. But
should give it a go.
I've got the omnibuses, but I've not managed to get into them yet. The omnibuses.
Man.
It's huge, isn't it, Saga?
Yeah.
So that makes sense. If you're going to be on a desert island, get them all.
If we're going,
and it's a damn good story. I mean, it's
yeah.
So
if we're going omnibuses, I'll take all 3 omnibuses of Invincible, because that's a nice big story to read, and I love it.
Yeah, actually, that would be a good choice for me, because I started reading it and loved it, but just sort of stopped for some reason. So that's not a bad idea.
I take the alternative would be, if I stick with one of the Marvel superhero type stuff, Marvel DC superhero stuff, would be Injustice.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is especially that first volume of Injustice is just awesome. Yeah. That's better than most of DC's ongoing stuff by a country mile most of the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I like DC. Talking of which, Marvel or DC?
Well,
Marvel.
Yeah.
DC for me. Like,
really?
I like the characters from Marvel, but I've always struggled to read Marvel over DC, whereas I find DC a lot easier to read. So
I just find, for the most part, I mean, because the only DC I regularly read on a regular basis is the Bat Family stuff, which are like the only heroes practically that are like people. They're just people. I mean, he's super rich, but he's got issues. He's a screwed up guy. He's more like a Marvel character. Some of the Marvel characters where they're there's something not right with them. They've got some issue, and that's been kind of like one of the big themes of what's been going on with Batman and stuff for so long. But the Marvel heroes are, just because they're flawed, they've just always seemed to be easier to connect with in my.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I as a kid, I couldn't stand DC. Like when I was very young, it was all about Marvel.
When you were a little hatchling?
Yeah, when I was only a little are they hatchlings? What are they called? I don't know. When I was a little Mal, I was very pro Marvel, but as I got older, DC's more adult slanting stories, they read better most of the time for me, and whereas Marvel I've really struggled to be engaged with every time I try and read it, especially these days. It just hasn't worked.
Mowing the lawn, cutting out old grout from the bathroom. My God, you guys are doing like real work. Jeez.
Why?
The weekend.
That's a mistake.
Yeah.
Especially not if it's as hot as where you are.
Yeah, that's like I've got one task I need to do, and I'm waiting until tomorrow morning to do it. I need to change out the wine fridge. The old wine fridge gave up the ghost. I got to put the new one in and reload it with wine bottles, but it's in the garage. It's uninsulated. I don't want to go in there.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible idea as well.
Yeah, I'll wait till tomorrow morning when it's nice and cool still.
Cool. Yeah.
Hoot, who's the best owl?
That's a good question.
It's easy. You don't know the answer, so I'll give it to you because he didn't play well outside of the United States. He didn't play at all probably outside the United States. It's Woodsy Owl because he gave a hoot and told you not to pollute.
Yes, I am familiar with that.
Oh, there you go. Woodsy Owl. There you go.
But only because Freaky Louie had me do a little voice clip using some of the Woodsy stuff.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, otherwise it was never available here. Who the fuck?
Otherwise, second place is the Tootsie Roll Owl, who gives you how many licks does it take to get the center of a Tootsie Pop.
Yes, no, that was what he had me do actually.
Oh, okay.
But I was researching owls because I like getting owl covers. So you try and search. It's difficult. Right. There aren't that many owl covers.
What was the name of the? My mind escapes me. What was the name of the owl that was in the original Clash of the Titans? The little mechanical owl.
Artemis wasn't? No,
Artemis.
no. Was it Artemis?
That rings a bell. I don't know if that's the name of it. I know the Clockwork Owl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Archimedes.
Archimedes, I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds more right.
Yeah.
You'd think I would know more owls.
You think?
Any other business? Because we're towards an hour, and like Parliament, you've got to have any other business. Well, on my channel, I'm going to have a video on Monday, probably, because I haven't recorded it yet. Tony, what have you got coming up?
Well, on July 4th, I dropped a video talking about what's been going on in my world. Pretty much taking a mental break due to some stuff happening in my life until hopefully around July 21st, July 20th, I'll get back in the swing of things, do a live show on that Sunday, July 21st. We'll just wait and see. Right now, I'm just taking a break.
Rob?
The damn owl's name was Bubo.
Bubo.
Yeah. According to Bubo was forged by Hephaestus and sent to Athena to aid Perseus in his quest to save Princess Andromeda.
Because she refused to give her original owl away.
I haven't watched that in about 30 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Anyways. Sorry. Other business? We mean what's coming up on my channel?
What's happening on your channel? Yeah.
Oh, Monday mail call. That'll be happening for sure. And then Thursday, I'm not sure yet. It may be another episode of 10 sketch covers from my collection.
Oh, nice. Enjoyed the last one of those.
Pete?
So I've had a few videos out lately. I've done all of my CGC graded books in one video, which was a bit of a beast. I did a room tour video.
That was massive. It was, 58 minutes? I watched the whole thing earlier, whilst I was lying in bed, if you could imagine me, sprawled out, all mowly.
That just pleases the vision in my eyes at the moment of you in your glory. Did you still have the cape on?
Oh,
only the cape.
Only the cape. Yeah, good stuff. I've literally just done This Is My with Cliff on Comics, which was just an absolute joy. I've got another one of those tomorrow night with Mr. X from the Extreme channel. That'll be fun. And then Monday night, I've got my review of a superb film, Starship Troopers. Have you guys seen Starship Troopers?
Absolutely. Love Starship Troopers.
The Paul Verhoeven film.
The what, sorry?
Paul Verhoeven.
Yeah.
Directed. Yeah.
It's
been a while, but yeah, I used to love that movie.
I haven't watched it for years, so me and James went back and rewatched it, and it still stands up.
Had he seen it before?
Effects, so I had. James hadn't.
Hadn't.
Yeah. Now, I mean, Rob, you're. I know you love your sci-fi and stuff like that. I'm trying to remember. I will have watched 20 years ago, Starship Troopers 2 and 3. I know I will have.
Oh,
I can't
direct
remember
video
any
crap.
about them.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I got someone at my door.
Okay, I can't remember if they're any good, so I will have to go check those ones out.
That's interesting because I don't think I ever watched any of them. But
so
didn't some of the cast return at some point?
Yeah, so there's 2 direct to DVD sequels. What you call them? The main actor Rico, can't remember what it's called. He comes back for the second one, and then there's 2 CGI animated ones follow on, which look really cool. I've not seen them either.
Okay, I didn't know about the anime. That's cool.
Yeah,
and I'm back.
Good stuff.
Anything good delivered? I assume
it was a package of, I presume, comic slabs from Team Ohana Comics for Comics Curing Cancer.
Oh wow, cool. That's awesome.
We are in that stage where we're starting off that campaign to get those donations in for Comics Curing Cancer of items.
Well, that certainly qualifies as any other business.
That's going on. And I forgot, next Saturday's Only Slabs, we're going to have your countryman, Ilson Comics, on the show.
Oh, very cool.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got some good books. Yeah.
He's got some crazy books.
He's a great conversation too to have with him.
Yeah.
So funny, great conversation. One of the best just conversational guests that we've had on the show. That was just, I think back of it with just so much fondness. It was so fun for somebody that I didn't know beforehand. I was just like, God, I really enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah, it's a great guy.
But yeah, no, Comics Curing Cancer books in. I have no idea what it is. We'll see that at some point. But yeah, by all means, folks should follow Comics Curing Cancer on Instagram, on Facebook. If you want to help out, start looking into what do I have laying about that maybe somebody would be willing to bid on, and I can donate those items to Comics Curing Cancer for the big auction. It's only 3 months away now because it's going to be October 4th through the 6th, early October this year instead of the end of October. So
I guess the important thing is that they have to be things that people would want to buy.
Yes. It's not just garbage. We don't want your junk. Especially since this year we've gone away from the prize wheel thing. I will still have need for some different items for some of the shows, but ultimately it's always challenging to say get rid of 3 cases of Black Box comics. Some various other things are difficult, more challenging than others. And you can, there are some things I can do where I can mix things together in mystery boxes and whatnot else. But at the same time, there's a limit to what we can do on that. And a lot more stuff will be focused in auction wise this year.
And you're aiming for 50,000. Is that the plan?
Yeah, that's the goal this year. We've doubled our goal from last year, raised it up to what we actually achieved last year. And saying we can do that again, that's insane.
Yeah, that is insane, but you did it last year, so hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, and we're sitting right now at about, the number, if you look at our number right now, is about, it says 13.6. We actually have about another, that's going to go up. That should go over 15 probably next week, because there was some money that was donated by mistake from actually the Scotty Young Appreciation Group on Facebook held a mini auction. They donated to our portal, and then Scotty Young's Stupid Fresh Mess decided that they were going to match it, and they accidentally donated to the generic portal instead of our portal. And so I got the receipt, and I'm working with the people to move the funds and properly credit us. So big shout out to Stupid Fresh Mess for their donation. It was like, I think it was like $1,800 that they matched. Plus I got confirmation that they're going to participate and send us a complete set of the big Marvel books that Scotty's been doing. Complete set, all covers, 100% of them signed by Scotty Young.
Whoa,
very cool.
So that's gonna be phenomenal.
That'll be a big get.
Yeah. Scotty and Megan, who runs the office over there, have been great supporters of ours last year and this year, and talked to them at Heroes Con and stuff. It's great, and that's what's really fun, is seeing some of these artists stepping up and embracing the cause. Like Stephanie Lavaude, who's based out of France. I talked to her when we were at Heroes. She's a breast cancer survivor and wanted to help out, and she donated a sketch cover right there on the spot that she had pre-done. But then told me to reach out to her, and I reached out to her the other day, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm super busy with a bunch of things, between now and then, but I'm going to put it on my list here to try to squeeze in to get you something. If not, I'll find some stuff that I have that's pre-done and send you guys some stuff because I definitely want to help out." And she even got into character. I want to be one of your superheroes to fight this supervillain, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's really impressive and important how much reach you're getting doing things like the Heroes Con, because you can talk to so many more people than just our sphere of. I mean, it's ever growing. Don't get me wrong, but like real life interaction will bring more money to the table. And it's important that we show cancer who's boss. That's cancer, you see, being punched. Yeah, you get the metaphor.
Got it.
Okay, well, thanks guys. Thanks for popping in and having a chat with me, and thanks everybody for watching. And we'll catch you next time.
Oh, hold on. If we're gonna do this right, come on, hold on. I would like to move that we close this session of Parliament.
I second.
That's a good point. Like yeah.
It has been moved and
screwed up my own
seconded.
gimmick already.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned.
And I don't really know. Well, I suppose, no. Really what happened was, no, the thing is, rather than confront, I thought...
Skip to the end.